Ajay Kumar Singh from Jammu. His talk is on the integrational aspects. So, Dr. Ajay Kumar Singh is a professor from Jammu University. He's going to talk about the integrational aspects in Kumbh, intercultural and integrational aspects of Kumbh Mela. He is an assistant professor, Center for Comparative Religions and Civilizations at Jammu University. Over to you, Professor Ajay Kumar Singh.
नमस्ते शारदे देवी काश्मीर पूर्ववासिनी त्वामहम प्रार्थे नित्यम विद्यादानम च देहि में। सबसे पहले तो मैं आप सभी को इस कार्यक्रम में मुझे जोड़ने के लिए, और मैं जम्मू सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी में हूँ, तो आप सभी का धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा। और जैसा कि सर ने बताया, मैं अपनी बात रखना चाहूँगा, और मैं आखिरी स्पीकर हूँ मुझे लगता है। तो एक सबसे बड़ी चीज ये भी है कि आप लोग लगातार पिछले 6-7 स्पीकर्स को सुन चुके हैं और बहुत सारी बातें ऑलरेडी हो चुकी हैं और मैं भी लगातार सुन रहा था। लेकिन मेरा प्रयास यही रहेगा कि मैं कुंभ पर्व के अंतर सांस्कृतिक जो उसकी चेतना है, और साथ ही साथ जो एकात्मता का इसका स्वरूप है, जिसने भारतवर्ष को ही नहीं दुनिया भर के सनातन संस्कृति को मानने वाले लोगों को जोड़ने का एक बहुत बड़े उपक्रम के रूप में हम सब के ऊपर एक उपकार किया है, उस पर अपनी बात रखूंगा। और इसी संदर्भ में मैं सबसे पहले कहना यही चाहूंगा कि कुंभ पर्व को लेकर आप सुबह से मंथन कर रहे हैं, और कुंभ पर्व आत्म मंथन को अगर देखें तो आत्म मंथन या समुद्र मंथन का जो पौराणिक गाथाओं के माध्यम से हमें ये आता है कि कैसे इसको समुद्र मंथन के रूपक के माध्यम से एक लोकव्यापी आयाम देने में सहस्त्राब्दियों तक ये सफल रहा, और किस तरह से ये जो ऋषि प्रणीत सांस्कृतिक जीवन धारा हमारी रही है, इस धारा ने इसे संभव बनाया, इसको प्रणम्य बनाया। और किस तरह से जो अविश्वासी भी हैं, अविश्वासी स्नानार्थी जो कहते हैं वहां पे आते हैं, या श्रद्धालुओं की जो निष्ठा है, जो उनकी सहनशीलता है और उत्कर्ष भावना है, उन सब को आगे कैसे प्रणत किया, ये सब चीजें हैं। और जनधारा और जलधारा का संगम जो कि त्रिवेणी के परिविस्तार के रूप में मुझे दिखाई देता है। तो मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि विरोध की भाषा स्वयं आत्मचिंतन की भाषा बन जाती है जब हम कुंभ के पूरे परिप्रेक्ष्य को देखते हैं। और इस देश की संस्कृति की जो मूल धारा यही रही है कि हम विरोध की भाषा भी स्वयं आत्मचिंतन की भाषा बन जाती है। और जो मानववादी दृष्टि है वो अध्यात्मवाद और भौतिकवाद दोनों की अतिरंजनाओं और उसके विडंबनाओं को संतुलित बनाने की शक्ति कैसे रखता है और उसे कैसे सर्वोपरि महत्व देता है या महत्व देता है। और इसी के आधार पर भारत की पूरी सांस्कृतिक विचारधारा टिकी हुई है, और मानवता का जो रूप मनुष्य को संस्कृति और इतिहास का केंद्र मानकर विकसित हो रहा है, वो कैसे नए मनुष्य को अगर हम देखेंगे तो उसकी प्रतिष्ठा के लिए संकल्पशील है, और धर्म और धर्मनिरपेक्षता के द्वंद्व के का समाहार कैसे किया जा सकता है, उसी संदर्भों में कुंभ की जो उपादेयता है, कुंभ की जो एक तरीके से मैं कह सकता हूँ सांस्कृतिक महत्व है, अभी जिक्र हो रहा था, जिस पे मैं ज्यादा बात तो नहीं कहूंगा, लेकिन मैं इतना कहना चाहूंगा कि कुंभ की प्रासंगिकता को लेकर बार बार सवाल किया जाता है। तो कई बार ऐसा लगता है कि जो इंसान की नैसर्गिक प्रवृत्तियां होती हैं उसके सहारे तो वो अपने जीवन यापन करना चाहता है, लेकिन वो ये भी चाहता है कि उस जीवन यापन की से ऊपर उठकर कुछ अन्य तत्वों के बारे में भी जाने, वो अपनी अलग पहचान बनाए, और उसकी यही अदम्य इच्छा शक्ति जो है उसको संस्कृति का जन्म देने का कार्य करती है। और कुंभ पर्व भी भारतीय व्यक्ति को भारत की समष्टि से जोड़ने की परंपरा का एक अंग है। और आप देखेंगे तो जो वैज्ञानिक और औद्योगिक विकास, सुख सुविधाओं के नए उपकरण तो हम सब जुटाते हैं, लेकिन मनुष्य को भावनात्मक रूप से जोड़ने का जो कार्य किया भारत की संस्कृति ने, जो प्रचार प्रसार के साधन सूचनाओं का आदान प्रदान करते हैं, उसके द्वारा हम मानव हृदय की उष्मा दूसरे व्यक्ति तक नहीं पहुंचा पाते। लेकिन अभी बात आ रही थी एक जो जिसके बारे में मैं तो जैसे सर अभी जिक्र आया था यहाँ कुंभकोणम का, तो आप देखिए उसके बारे में एक जगह कहा गया, एक सत्ताध्यायी करके एक टेक्स्ट है, अन्य क्षेत्रे कृतम पापम पुण्य क्षेत्रे विनश्यति, पुण्य क्षेत्रे कृतम पापम कुंभकोणे विनश्यति, कुंभकोणे कृतम पापम वाराणस्याम विनश्यति, तत्रापि यत् कृतम पापम प्रयागे तद विनश्यति। तो इस तरह से जो कुंभकोणन की बात की गई थी, और अभी बात की जा रही थी मथुरा में के संदर्भों की, तो वो सब चीजें भी हैं, उनके बारे में भी काफी कुछ जानने को मिला। तो मैं यही कह सकता हूँ कि आस्था और विश्वास का जो ये सजीव स्वरूप भारत की कुंभ पर्व की जिसके बारे में चर्चा कर रहे हैं, और ये जिसके लिए न तो किसी व्यक्ति को सूचना देने की जरूरत पड़ती है, न ही किसी आमंत्रण की जरूरत पड़ती है, और कैसे भारत का जनमानस कुंभ पर्व के प्रति इतनी अटूट आस्था भी रखता है, और उसी आस्था की डोर के माध्यम से वो कैसे इतना विशाल जनसमूह जो सदियों से आता रहा है, अभी जिक्र भी आया था कि कुंभ की ऐतिहासिकता क्या है, इसके ऊपर शायद चर्चा भी हुई होगी। इसके बारे में कुंभ शब्द का जिक्र जो है वेदों में भी आता है, कुंभ के बारे में और कई सारे रेफरेंसेस जो हमारे शास्त्रों में और पुराणों में, तो पुराणों पे तो आधारित है ही है, लेकिन अन्य शास्त्रों में भी कुंभ को लेकर बहुत सारे संदर्भ आते हैं। इनफैक्ट आप देखेंगे तो जो समुद्र मंथन को लेकर अभी एक स्वामी जी जो जिक्र कर रहे थे, और जो उसमें बात आई थी कि तीन एक चीज खास करके, कि अगर हम देखें तो कुंभ मेले का पर्पज एक सामान्य व्यक्ति के लिए क्या है, तो हम कह सकते हैं कि उसका सिंगल पर्पज यही होता है कि वो जाकर उस पवित्र स्नान करके अपने आप को इमोर्टेलिटी यानी मोक्ष की प्राप्ति करे, चाहे वो प्रयाग हो, हरिद्वार हो, नासिक हो, या उज्जैन हो, या बाकी जिन प्लेसेस का भी जिक्र हुआ। तो अगर आप देखें जो एक आया था रेफरेंस देवों का, असुरों का, और जीवों का या मानवों का, और उसमें दा शब्द की बात शायद उन्होंने पहले ही बताई थी, जिसमें कि ये आता है वहां पे कि बृहदारण्यक उपनिषद की बात की गई। उसके अलावा वो द शब्द से देव के लिए दत्ता की बात की गई, या उनके लिए सबसे दमत्य की बात की गई, मनुष्य के लिए दत्ता या दान की बात की गई, और असुरों के लिए दयाध्वम की या जिसके कंपैशन की बात की गई। तो वो तीनों अगर हम वहां पे रेफरेंसेस देखेंगे तो वो सारे के सारे वहां रेफरेंस आते हैं, लेकिन उन रेफरेंसेस के आधार पर अगर आप देखें तो एक तो सबसे बड़ी चीज आई कि एक सामान्य व्यक्ति जो जाता है, वो कहते हैं कि स्नान करने के लिए जाता है, और उसका पहला एम आखिरी एम यही है। लेकिन वहां पर अगर आप देखेंगे तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ उस जल में डुबकी लगा लेना और उससे अपने मोक्ष की प्राप्ति ही नहीं है। मैं कह मतलब मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि अगर हम उसको और संदर्भों में देखें, या कह सकते हैं कि वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक स्नान या इमर्शन जिसको हम बोलते हैं, इमर्जन जिसको बोलते हैं, दैट इज फर्स्ट एंड लास्ट एम ऑफ एवरी डिवोटी और विजिटर इन कुंभ मेला। But there is, if we can go through and we can see, there are so many kinds of immersion other than the deep in water, and that is not only single prescribed act. There is immersion in the sheer gathering of the people of Hindu faith. There is immersion in the community of Hindu keeping alive the oldest known religious tradition of the world. There is immersion in the diversity of the ways of life that these people from various parts of India display. There is immersion in mixing the diverse economic layers that have collected. There is immersion in the deep and vast devotion to the cause of gathering, which pilgrims make after taking long and tortuous journey. And there is immersion in the oneness of India, which is felt most obvious and palpably in the Kumbh than anywhere else. So oneness of India is not a modern political and cultural slogan. The immersion or a deep bathing or rasnan or avagahan and gathering that is called adhivas, जिसको हम कल्प की बात करते हैं, at sacred mountains, rivers, lakes and forests, has been the Indian way and sacred sites such as Pushkaran, the lake, the Naimisaryan, the forest, have been mentioned in earlier literary texts such as Ramayana and Mahabharata, and the major Puranas. I think last to last speaker also told about the Asthal Puranas. are full of the names of hundreds of such sites. And these places have been held sacred by not just one region of India, but by the people of the whole subcontinent, as is evidence from ancient texts. And there are the holy sites that make the whole of the Bharatvarsh a sacred land. So the spiritual reward of sannyas brings with it the all the spiritual, cultural, and social immersions that have been always happening in the history of Kumbh Mela. And the Mela are thus synonymous of deep cultural transformation, which through intangible and difficult to measure is nevertheless real, certain, and proved by the fact that these melas are ever growing in popularity. And there are three main ideas which I have told earlier: Damyat, Dat, and Dayadhvam. So that is called Damam, Danam, or Daya, and that are practiced in Kumbh by millions who visit it during its duration in various institutional and personal ways. And Damatya, which is called self-control, that is practiced as Indriya Daman Nigrah, or asceticism, or abnegation by various sections of pilgrims and sadhus. And the Kumbh is known for a battery of sadhus and yogis who demonstrate their acute form of self mortification, such as sitting on nails or sitting encircled by huge ring of fire, standing on one feet or hand up professedly for physical tapasya or Hatha Yoga. So such kind of yogis are the most popular one, and so are the Nagas who provide a sensation among the other part of the world tourists. And this is the Damatya Damam, and that is meant for sannyasis and for householder, which is who are called as grihasthashram. Self control is not so severe and take the form of simple dressing and fasting, but for them you'll see Brat or pranayams of parayans of month long, many of longer duration they may personal undergoes while in compared al Kumbh. So Damatya are during the period, as we know, celibacy follow करने की बात, there is also the concept, I mean they need to follow the celibacy also. The Kumbh is a big interfaith of the householder of Grihast with the sannyasi order. All the sannyasi orders seek representation here as a matter of right. And the enlisting of akhadas or ascetic order is crucial as matter of recording the number of orders extant as a given time in India. So the public comes to see the order and interact with the gurus in a personal and social way. The average Hindu takes pride and even a thrill in the vastness and diversity of a ascetic denomination. And this is when the idea of self-control and renunciation, which is called as Damatto Yatyag, are reaffirmed in the four M's are four goals of Hinduism, that is called four Purushar, Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha, and four ashramas, that is Brahmacharya, Grihasth, Banprasth, and Sannyas ashram. And although it is clear in the Indian sociological thought and the Mahabharata in its initial chapter that in the Sambhav Parv, it says it is in so many words the Grihasth ashram is the most important or the highest of the four ashram. And Sannyas ashram is representative of the final endeavor of personal life. So the presence of the whole array of renunciatory order in the Kumbh reminds all visitors of the not to be lost sight of final aim. We shall say something more. And if we can see Kalpavas, uh, fulfilling woe by staying in one location for a specific period is one of the main ritual undertaken by thousands of pilgrimage in Kumbh to practice the idea of Damat or self-control. And it is undertaken by hundreds of thousands of persons who come to Mela from all parts of India, but even the expertise Hindu living far away. Doing a spell of austerity at Kumbh is considered to be the most meritorious. Obviously, because of the drop of nectar that assists one's spiritual goals. And kalp is what? Kalp is a short form of the word sankalp. This is a vow, which is called vrat, made for a period usually amounting to 1 month as Kumbh. So the idea is to live an ascetic life by married couple for a month or so decided duration. So the vow is to sleep on the floor or a hard surface. I think you all know, and there is also, you know, they used to say that how what kind of life they have to live in Kalpwas. They need to mantra jap and other meditation practices also. In short, I have to say that the life that the couple is supposed to live at the third stage of life called banpras. So I mean, grihast needs to live a life of banpras there, and in a kalpvas, the person is temporarily a banpras, and he should be detached and not in touch with his nears and dears. This spell of abstinence of brahmacharya was supposed to be undertaken frequently by a householder according to the ancient ideal way of Hindu life. It not only rejuvenated the mind and the body, it also prepared one for progressively thinking about the final aim of human existence, and that is to attain ultimate knowledge. And second one is most important thing, dat or dan. And giving is regarded as one of the highest virtue in all ancient cultures, particularly in Indo-European ones like the Vedic and Hellenic, but modern version of giving revolves around the slightly different Christian notion of charity, which is one of the cardinal virtue along with the faith and hope. In Christian notion of giving, the virtuous gives something to help other, but in Vedic notion, giving is of the self itself. So for us, dan is for self, and thus it involves giving not only that out of the material belonging that are very dear to one, such as kanyadan to a stranger, but the whole being of oneself, I mean Atma, as in the yajna to the Devta, giving to the parents, to the gurus, to all other living and non-living things, which is called Bhut Rina. And Dhanatithi and five kind of danas are mentioned there. And at the Kumbh, traditional framework of Dan has undergone a sea change. If you can go through recent developments in the, there are many changes also. But now the state has entered in a big way, and pilgrims to Kumbh do not have the obligation to practice Dan the way they were doing earlier. But in most well-developed system that evolved from centuries, the bond between Purohit and the Yajman was genealogical one, and that has to and that needs to be practiced, and that needs to be followed in the same form which was practiced earlier also, so that the sanctity of that parampara has to be in the same way. And there is another concept which is for that is called dayadhvam, and that is called compassion, so compassion. So at the location of Kumbh, feeding the sadhus and poor pilgrimage is conducted in a big way by large number of social and religious organizations. There is often distribution of blankets and other utilities. If you all are familiar, you all knows about all these things. But even Ausadi also provided by few organization, other things also provided by other people. But the idea of damatya dat ya daya, I mean damatya or dan or daya should be amplified in Kumbh and visible so. They shall help in maintaining the sanctity and the ancient idea of Kumbh and prevent the event from sliding into a huge commercial spinner, the biggest looming danger. Having fun attitude promotes so heavily in the new middle and rich class of India in general danger to our Hindu tradition, and that's why we need to maintain the earlier practices so that the things are the purpose or the message what has been given by our rishis and maharshis to our lay disciples, that has to be maintained. One more thing, the modern Indian capacity to organize and plan Mahakumbh Mela, if we can go, and if you earlier have gone and seen, then you understand what kind of change has come. But after all that change, there is I can say the integration of all aspects of life there, all sorts of life there, all sects of Indian tradition like Vaishnava, Saiva, Shakt, they all come there. Rich, poor, everybody come there. Even from different parts of the world, people used to come there. And actual uniformity, union, or we can say integration. We if we need to see, then we have to visit that place. We need to visit. Kumbh Mela, and then we will realize what is actual integration, because interface between if we can go there and we can see the interface between sannyasis and grihast, then there are many kind of melas and netras on the confluence of rivers, mountain top, and sacred woods in India. As I told earlier, also that has been mentioned in our uh, scriptures. In order of the sadhus along with the lay deities have always been participant in this. However, the Kumbh in the four designated places stand out in the custom of a formal participation of nearly all the organized orders in Hindu sannyasi from all over India. It is almost a matter of reputation of these orders to pitch their tents in Kumbh so as to register their presence in the vast form of gathering of akhadas and sampradaya. And what this practice used to show. Generally, in our tradition, disciple needs to go to meet their gurus, or disciple needs to go to yogis where they used to live. But Kumbh is the place where these seers, these practitioners, different they used to come there, and they met common people also. So that way there is interface between these sannyasis and grihasthas there, and very beautiful kind of gesture is there, and that shows that the Kumbh is a formal gathering of akhadas in which they not only register their identity by pitching their tents and having priority in order to snan. They assert their presence in the public eye through the uh, uh, new media forms also. Some sampradaya like the Nagas in particular are able to draw attentions, but the general coverage provide a wide variety of showing immense diversity of ascetic orders in India, and that all is there. And then formation of new akhadas that also need to get approval from this Mahakumbh only, and this is the clear example of the sanctioning ability of Kumbh in the area of cultural innovation. So we people are from the knowledge seeking society, and knowledge seeking society always believes in innovation and modification, and try to reinterpret the things according to time and space. And last Kumbh Mela, a new Kinnar Akhada was established, and that was the best example of the sanctionability of Kumbh in the area of cultural innovation. It is also reformed the plural tradition of worship which are allowed to freely close their diverse paths. So that way, and exploring values also signified by music, dance, and other art forms. Because if there were a large number of performances held at some akhadas, their heads were very much dedicated to the idea of spirituality established by the art. This has been a groundbreaking effort as it reaffirms the Indian tradition, which has always regarded the especially of the art, especially of theater, dance, and music, as a doorway to spiritual realization. As you all know, that 5th century BC, Bharat Muni, so the compiler of Natya Shastra, proclaimed that the performing art are nothing other than the fifth Veda, in which values and meaning of all four Vedas is contained, and there is no denying the fact that it is through theater, dance, and music, the Natya Veda of the fifth Veda, manifesting Natak, Katha, Pad, Kirtan, and Rupak are drama. that the philosophy of Hindu thought has been brought to those who were not formally educated but who Im- who imbibe their message of profoundest import from the art enough to lead morally and aesthetically upright lives. Several other texts have reiterated how the art are a doorway to spiritual realization. So with so many other injunctions in the parampara of Bharat besides those given earlier, uh, what I have discussed, it is but needful that the Kumbh Mela should have an extensive inclusion of performing artists so that the million who come in the Mela see for themselves the clear association of art with spiritual realization. So to make matter, there are many other things which used to show us how this I can say interculturation is there. I can say how this integration process is happening there, and for that we need some new strategies for reunite our art and our religious sects together, because to reunite puja and kala art, pandals should not be made like a stage for shows, but they should be made as a space for worship, containing makeshift paper or vigra or deities like Shiv, Vishnu Devi, with kirtan, ras leela, nritya, natak, twang, Lavani, Ball, Gita, and other classical and folk forms being conducted around them, so that our new generation cannot forget all these things and they can realize how important is our performing art, how important is our these forms, and then a greater emphasis on inclusion of art of beyond Hindi belt, because if we can go through and we can see, then Kumbh Mela can be great site for making the traditional art forms of performance such as Kundiyattam, Kathakali, Belatha, Bhairavi, Ball Gita known to the larger public of North India. Most of these art forms are performed now in elite center of performances in metro cities. So at Kumbh, millions can get to see them in real time and space. New experiment can be made with traditional art forms. For example, Yakshagan, usually done in Kannada language and sometimes with Sanskrit lines, can be done in Hindi dialogues also, so that the majority of onlookers in Kumbh can follow it better. So, for the emphasis by the regional artist has been to maintain the very desi original nature of the dramatic art, but it can also make certain shows for wider northern belt audience, and it can be made multilingual for North Indian audience, and such innovations can be patronized for Kumbh. At Kumbh, the association with religious themes provide a large audience to these art forms. For instance, enacting the story of Prahlad in Kannada, Yakshagan would be a welcome theme as much as Hindi belt audience, also the Kannada region folk. So that way there are many possibilities, and through that I can uh, used to say that this integration or actual integration, actually that is happening since last many centuries, but for this century or coming century, if we need to keep the our this cultural legacy alive, then all these things are required, because Kumbh is also important in which context. Kumbh was not for only these following some ritualistic practices. Kumbh is not only for Kalpwas, Kumbh is not only for Sahi Asnan and all, Kumbh is not for other things. Kumbh can be a venue where such issues can be discussed in public by the Hindu community, because in present there are so many issues in the society in Hindu community. Like one example is that earlier there was one issue came in Kerala about the entry of women in the temple, about other things related to temple in temple administrative related things or temple worship way of worship related things that has to be discussed in public by the Hindu communities in Kumbh. And it at present it is presumed by pilgrims that apart from Snan there will be a great sightseeing in Kumbh, but one would get to see the vast diversity of the lifestyle of sadhus. There will be a small time for shopping of memento, some clothes and whatsoever. But why Kumbh Mela cannot be transformation space in which there is food for thought about the issues facing in the Hindu community? I'm aware of that. This has to be done carefully as it should be. It should not have any sort of political propaganda, but the chances of it are here less because it is to be seen as an attempt to address the issues of troubling the Hindu society at large. So other than that, Kumbh Mela been a debating place among the theologian and academician in the history, and that practice needs to be re-establish, and they can once again fulfill the same need, not limiting the matters to religious rituals. Kumbh can be a site for conference on matters that are of grave concern to the people of India. And that way, Kumbh can be more important, or Kumbh is going to be much more significant for the common man of India. Kumbh is going to be more significant for the people across the world who are in the who are these days involved in the conflict related things. And even Indian judiciary can also learn so many things from Kumbh, because the Kumbh is the site where senior members of judiciary, serving and retired advocates, students and teachers of modern law school can meet to broaden their limitations, because in one place they are able to find whole India there, and then they will able to understand more about India, and they will have multi-dimensional approach, and then they will have better decisions in on at the time of their own practices. So for them also Kumbh is best place to be there to understand India better, and this way even and we need to project Kumbh to the world outside, because the gathering of Kumbh are so large that they are mind-blogging for most nations. And the very phenomena is so fantastic that the word itself is very inquisite. For the 2019 Kumbh, you all know that 72 foreign diplomats, mostly ambassadors, visited the site of Prayag to see the advanced preparation. And many reports are there, many sayings are there. The Ministry of External Affairs and Uttar Pradesh government hosted 72 heads of the mission, and they have said very good things about this Kumbh Mela. And there is no doubt that the efforts such as these, either by government of India or by private person in India, do enhance the image of India as a nation that handles its heritage in a live and dynamic matter. But the deeper image of what a Kumbh stands for is for more important. So that needs to be presented to the foreign mission in India through a strong projection of the religious philosophies and traditions of the country. And at present our own diplomats and our missions abroad needs to be more equipped for all these things, and then they will be able. So for them also this Kumbh Mela is very important, and there is a projection of Kumbh Mela in the world outside that emphasize them as not only exotic, far out, fantastic and mind blowing, but indeed that is the most obvious sight at any Kumbh. But that we all know is the outer shell. The inner kernel is the deep reaching out to the divine. The image of Kumbh in the mind of foreigners should be about the serious pursuit of Hindus, and not about having some fantastic only fun and carnival. If the Kumbh begins to be perceived as a carnival of sensory enjoyment by the foreigners, it shall invite activities from them which shall result in a clash of civilization. So there is an immense celebration at Kumbh, a massive upsurge of joy but not for sensory enjoyment as in the carnival. It is a celebration of divine distinction between Kumbh and other carnivals should be made very clearly. And then we need to see the consumerization, and that needs to be stopped so that we can understand properly. And what is the outcome? Why I told all these things? Because my purpose was only to show there are many examples from the different scriptures, but as I have heard from other speakers, and I think most of the examples has been given by the other speakers. Even you see Kumbh Mela, and if we can go and see the some researches in Harvard University, Harvard University's faculty is doing so many researches like mapping India's Kumbh Mela. They are working on other aspects of Kumbh Mela. So how much importance others are giving to this Kumbh Mela, and it's very great pleasure, and I'm really thankful to Indica to organizing such a great academic and scholarly event to talk about all these things. Because when I came in Jammu in 2017, that time even people was not aware about Abhinav Gupta. And same way, even when I talked with some my students about the cultural significance of Kumbh, about the spiritual significance of Kumbh, about the purpose of the Kumbh, most of the students are not aware about that. So I'm really thankful, and I realize that through such kind of programs we will able to spread that message, and people will come to know what actually the purpose of this Kumbh Mela and how this Kumbh Mela is going to uh, you know uh, assimilate our different I mean India, I used to say that India is one culture, essence of India is one, and that is celebrated in different ways. So our different traditions are like different colors of one culture, and how they are interdependent with each other, and that interdependency and that harmony reflection is very much visible in Kumbh Mela, and that all has to be seen through the legacy, through the history, through the programs, through whatever has been happened in past and what is happening nowadays, and through our scriptures. Because as in our scriptures said that there is only three ways of valid source of knowledge. First is perception. So we need to go there and we need to see the things from our own eyes, and second thing is from perception, then inference, through inference also, and through testimony also, and testimony is our rich scriptural heritage. So through that we can understand all these things. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. It was a very highly elaborate, well organized, well argued paper, erudite and analytical, incisive paper, incisive talk.